That's right, not one, not two, but 3 rare achievements in one video.
How does he do it?
I don't know.
He doesn't know.
No, seriously, I have no idea how I did this. I was playing this campaign while high on caffeine and excitement thanks to how well my last video performed. Thanks for that, by the way. When I saw the amazing reception, it immediately motivated me to start working on this next video to give you guys more content. If you guys want to see even more of this type of content, please consider pressing the subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. But on with the video. Yeah, you guys heard right. Today we are setting our sights on 3 rare achievements, and those are the Buddhist Strike Back, Cotton Candy, and Land of Eastern Jade. And as you can see, they are pretty rare indeed. So, as the second achievement's name suggests, we will be playing as Kandy down here in Sri Lanka, and we will need to 1. Become the biggest producer of cotton in the entire world, 2. Own a core province in Central America, or rather the achievement specifically wants a core in the Mexican region, and 3. Conquer the entirety of India. Oh yeah, and convert all of it to Buddhism. No biggie, right?
Wrong.
Look, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, you will most likely have to restart this run a bunch of times at the beginning, unless of course you can find a more foolproof way of starting out as Kandy than I did, because let's be honest, I am a fool. By the way, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be pronounced as Kandy or Kandy, but I'm sticking with Kandy, sue me. Now, what makes this tricky in the beginning is the fact that Kandy starts as a vassal of Kote over here. That doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, in all of my trial runs so far, Kote allied itself with Bahmanis every single time, after about 2 or 3 months. I hate them. Especially Bahmanis, but we'll come back to them later. So, let's get an overview of what we're dealing with here. Our economy is piss poor, and we start with 3,000 infantry and 5 ships, of which only 2 are transports. Take note of this because it's important. Our state religion is obviously Buddhist, or more specifically Theravada, which gives us advisor costs minus 10% and tolerance of heretics plus 2. The advisor costs is pretty nice, and besides that we also have the karma mechanics. This is one of those things that you either hate or you don't pay too much attention to. Me personally, I don't really mind it, but it tends to get very micromanagey at some points. If you don't know, the main idea of karma is that you always want to have it in the range between minus 33 and 33 in order to get the highest number of benefits out of it. You can see here how you can gain and how you can lose it. Moving on, we also have some unique ideas, the Sinhalese ideas. Our traditions give us some trade efficiency on fort defense, and we can also get 10% tax modifier, plus 1 yearly prestige, 1 merchant, 1 diplomatic reputation, 10% goods produced, which is pretty strong, 10% production efficiency, and plus 1 attrition for enemies. To top it all off, at the end we get 10% domestic trade power. They are pretty decent, not the best, not the worst. Additionally, our tier 1 government reform is the Nayankara system, which gives us plus 15% national manpower and 100% force limit contribution from vassals. Moving on, as I said previously, we are the vassal of our neighbor Kote. They start with 5,000 infantry and 2,000 cav, and a lot more ships than us. And if this doesn't seem bad enough, as soon as we will unpause the game, before we even reach December, Kote will 99% of the times go ahead and place one of their relatives on our throne, causing us to lose 1 stability. Oh yeah, and did I mention? We only have a generic mission tree, which for me means that, spoiler alert, I won't be able to complete a single mission up until we are almost done with the campaign. More on that later. Now that the stage is set, let's talk about our starting moves. To begin, we will go ahead and get the monastic education national decision, as it will help with our end goal to convert all of India to Buddhism, and then we head straight to our estates. For our monastic orders, we will get religious state, clerical ministers, and monastic temples. Next up is the Marathas, who are the most important estate for us. Their passive modifiers are insane. As you can see, they already give us some monthly army tradition, and if their loyalty is high enough, they will also give us plus 10% cavalry combat ability. To that end, we will do our best to keep them very loyal. Take note that we can choose to get our plus 1 monthly military power either from the Marathas or from the nobility. We will get it from the Marathas. King, hold on. Didn't you say we want to keep them as loyal as possible? Yes, however, this privilege takes away 10% of our crownlands and gives it to the Marathas. This is important because the more land they own, the higher their influence will be, and the higher the influence, the more potent their bonuses will be. We want to take full advantage of them, so we will also give them increased Maratha autonomy and increased levies, which again gives us more manpower the more land they own. Additionally, this privilege also makes them exempt from seizing land, which is also very important. And as you can see, we're already getting a lot more army tradition from this. We will get our cheaper advisors privileges later on after we take care of our stability issues that will come. For the nobility, we will get supremacy over the crown and the monopoly on gemstones to get some starting money to work with, because our loans are only 6 ducats right now. And lastly, for the Jains, we will get Jain political control, Jain clerical class, conscientious objections, and private trade fleets. We'll go ahead and seize some land and call a diet. If you get any, try to prioritize any Marathas missions you get here. Next up, we will raise war taxes in advance and check our military advisors for either a discipline dude or an army morale dude. In my case, I didn't get lucky, so I didn't hire any, but if you have one of those advisors available, get him to improve your chances of winning. This is optional, but you can also change your cavalry to Indian cavalry to get more defensive pips. With that change, I will build 1 regiment of cavalry in our province to the right and recruit the Free Company in our capital. Now, just to be clear, you can most likely get even more loans and hire an additional mercenary company to ensure victory, but we don't want to ruin our economy just yet. With your remaining money, you can queue up transport ships. Then what you want to do is move your army to the province on the right and immediately start building a spy network on Madurai, since that will be our first target if we can manage to get our independence. Move the Free Company to Trincomalee as well. And before December arrives, Kotte already places their relative on our throne. At this point, you need to pray to RNGesus and make your king a general. If his stats don't satisfy you, try your luck with a regular general as well. If you're like me and roll both of them with 0 shock, go ahead and restart the game. Now, even though our king is a Chad, I decided to get another general as well in hopes that I will get some siege pips. But instead, we got Chad II, and I'm not complaining. Now, the only thing left to do is to wait for 11th of December and start your independence war. It's very important to declare this war as soon as possible in order to not give Kotte a chance to ally with Bahmanis like it usually likes to do. Because, you know, it makes perfect sense for one of the most powerful nations in the Indian subcontinent to want to ally itself with this small island nation. But hey, at least we only lose 2 stability instead of 3, because we already lost 1 when our king got replaced. Nevertheless, once the war is started, we move our armies south towards Ruhunu and the Free Company further still towards their capital. You will notice that our mercenaries have nowhere near full morale, but that's okay, because the AI will prioritize sieging down your capital first, giving them time to recover. During this time, your cav regiment should also be done recruiting, so you can merge it with your main army or your mercs. If you notice your gold being very close to 0, you can consider getting the Jain loans, since they only have 1% interest compared to the 4% of a normal loan. If you can afford it, also bump up your stability and reduce your war exhaustion. Now, normally what should happen is that Kotte will finish sieging down your capital first and then attack either one of your stacks, and you will have to reinforce it with your other stack. And again, pray to RNGesus for some good dice rolls. However, in this run I noticed something strange. Kotte's army did not have a general for some unholy reason, so I decided to take advantage of this situation, and once my Free Company's morale was decent, I abandoned the siege on their capital and I attacked them instead. As soon as the fight begun, I also sortied from the siege to get some more men fighting on our side, and of course they roll a 9, but immediately after that we rolled a 9 plus 3 versus their 1, resulting in a stack wipe. That's what you like to see. Now we just carpet siege everything, but while you do this, whenever you have enough money, queue up more transport ships to be built. We also want to improve our relations with Bahmanis, even though 90% of the times they will be hostile towards you. You're gonna need some sort of ally to bully VJ. That's gonna be the only way to do anything down here. And once the siege is done, we get our independence and fully annex our former overlord. Alright, now we can start looking to leave our little island. We can now get our claim on Madurai, and the reason why we want Madurai as soon as possible is because they have a lot of cores on Vijay's land, so they will make for an excellent vassal to feed. Now usually you would have to get there using your ships, which is why I queued up so many transports. However, I noticed that Vijay did not actually hate my guts yet in this campaign, so this makes things a lot easier because we can just ask for military access instead and use the Strait crossing to leave our island. However, we also have to improve relations a bit with Vijay's vassal next to us to be able to do that. Once we can get the access, we immediately declare our next war. Now, Madurai usually enters in a trade league with this guy, but that's fine. If they don't have any other allies, we can also co-belligerate them and annex them for ourselves. We rush up to kill Madurai's army before they can merge up with their ally, and then we simply siege both of them until they surrender. After we annex the other guy, Vijay realizes that, oh, wait a second, I do hate you. So now we need to find an ally even faster. We're gonna keep trying our luck with Bahmanis for the time being, but meanwhile we set our sights on Cochin and the Maldives since they don't have any allies. Oh yeah, and if you didn't already, go ahead and pick up Expansionist Zealotry. Everyone else we will be fighting is not Buddhist. That's kind of, you know, the whole reason we're doing this. So, guys, anyone wants to be my ally? Bahmanis? Orissa? No?
No.
Oh. But what if I rival Vijay? Will you ally me then?
This is fucking annoying. I don't know why you people are watching this shit anymore.
Anywho, Cochin managed to get himself an ally, but we don't really care about him, so we declare war anyway. Unfortunately, after we siege down both Cochin and Andhra, when I wanted to vassalize Andhra, it costed only 1% over the 100 war score limit to do it, which was mildly frustrating. Meanwhile, Orissa found itself in a scuffle with Bengal and Bahmanis, and I wanted nothing to do with that just yet, so we're already betraying our only friend in this world. In the end, I chose to humiliate Andhra for the age objective, cancel their alliance with Vijay, took all their money and war reps, and of course we annexed Cochin. After that, we also quickly go and take the Maldives. Psst. Hey, Bahmanis, will you ally me if I verbally assault Vijay? Actually, yes. Now we're in business. Also, something to note here, our Tier 2 government reform gives us plus 10% infantry combat ability. That's pretty cool. Now, it is time to take the fight to the Vijays ourselves, especially since they don't even have a lot of manpower right now. It is perfect. Except that, for some ungodly reason, my caffeine-riddled brain decided to challenge myself with the task of trying to take them on my own, with no Bahmanis. I'm looking at this back when I'm editing the video, and honestly, what was I thinking? Why would I even entertain such an idea? It was most likely the fact that I saw they didn't have a lot of manpower, but yeah, I don't know. Of course, it went about as well as you would expect, but thankfully, even after we had our ass handed to us, Bahmanis was still bro enough to come to our aid. And they aided us, for sure. However, the damage I did to my country's economy was hilarious, and the fact that our heir died while we were in a regency did not help matters at all. At this point, I decided that I wouldn't even bother trying to fight the pretender rebels and just let them take over and wish for a decent ruler. And soon after, we are bankrupt. Thanks, past me. At least it gets rid of all of our loans. But the thing that stings the most from this is that we lose all our monarch points and we get minus 100 in each. That's rough. In addition, for the next 5 years our armies will be made out of paper along with all these other malices. But at least our war is pretty much won, so we wouldn't be doing any fighting in the next 5 years anyway, so we have time to rebuild from this. Side note, I might sound a bit sick in this next section of the video. That's because I'm recording this at a later date and yeah, I got sick. And there you have it. The first big war over. Could it have gone better? Absolutely. But look how big our trusty vassal grew here. We also took the last province in Sri Lanka for our own, and of course we didn't give anything to Bahmanis even though we promised them land, because we can just buy our trust back with favors. Hey, remember those pretender rebels? Well, they won, and thanks to that our stability is also reset to 0, pretty much undoing our bankruptcy. This was totally my plan from the beginning, yes. Unfortunately, we also lost the Maldives, because we had some rebels there as well, but it's alright, we can get them later, and it's not even necessary to have it for our achievements. Look at that prestige. Even though we were bankrupt, I also went ahead and annexed Mysore, since they were already fighting VJ, so we didn't even have to fight their armies, just siege them down and Bob's your uncle. But apparently they liked being annexed so much that they spawned again shortly after from VJ in order to be able to get annexed again by us. Oh yeah, and we also embraced the Renaissance, and we also had to pick our first idea group, and I went with aristocratic because I wanted to buff up our military, and I thought the cavalry combat ability would stack up nicely with the 10% we're already getting from our estates, and we use elephants as cavalry, which, if I'm not mistaken, are a bit more powerful in the early game than regular cavalry. Fast forwarding a bit into the future, we have recovered from our bankruptcy, and our truce with VJ is done, so we can fight them again. This time though, we can definitely take them on our own, even though we are kinda struggling with manpower at the moment, but it should be fine. And it was. Unfortunately, they were still too big to fully annex, but they are pretty much reduced to atoms right now. However, we now have a bigger problem, Bahmanis. I don't know if you noticed, but there's nowhere else to go up north except through Bahmanis. And it seems the AI also noticed this, as they break their alliance with us immediately. Thankfully though, I was already improving relations with Bengal all this time, so we will be able to get an alliance with them very soon after. We will definitely need help against Bahmanis since they grew respectably large and powerful. Meanwhile though, we continue to consolidate our hold on the southern tip of India and declare war on Venad, the only other nation present down here with us excluding VJ. And now that we're pretty much in control down here, we are also able to secure that alliance with Bengal, which should be enough to help us take on Bahmanis. But before we can do that, we need to chill for a bit and let our manpower recover, and we can also start integrating our vassal. By the way, it goes without saying, but while we're conquering all this land, we're also constantly converting our provinces to Buddhism, which is the main goal of this campaign. You will be able to do this very easily without even taking religious ideas. You should have enough missionaries and missionary strength to pull it off, especially if you start converting early. Later on in the game, after we conquer our way up to this province here, Pataliputra, because we are Buddhist, we will gain this modifier which will give us an additional missionary and another 2% missionary strength. And besides this, there is also a monastic order privilege that you can get, which gives you another 1% missionary strength, not to mention the state edict, which also helps with that. So we should be able to do it with no ideas. Anyway, with that out of the way, it's time to expand further. But before we go for Bahmanis, I decided to attack VJ one last time, my goal being to leave them with one province and vassalize them so that I can feed them their cores back from Bahmanis. And that's exactly what we did. Now it's time for Bahmanis. We were actually pretty lucky and won the first few battles. But because of the sheer number of troops Bahmanis had, we eventually lost and had to retreat. But it wasn't the end of the world, thanks to our new ally, who we will definitely not betray in the future, Bengal. They just took their sweet time to arrive down here because they stopped to siege everything along the way. Once they did arrive though, the war was pretty much decided. After some more sieging, we sue for peace. I did not drag the war on until we get 100% war score because we were bleeding manpower at this point and we could already get quite a lot of the peace deal, and I was happy with that. This would also significantly weaken Bahmanis for future wars. So, from here on out, this becomes pretty much just your standard campaign of EU4. We're just working towards our goal of conquering all of India. I'm not going to cover everything from this point, since I'm sure you guys are experienced map painters anyway, and besides that, it will take us forever. No, seriously, I have around 22 hours worth of footage from this campaign, and editing this down to a reasonable video length is pain. I will, however, of course, cover the highlights. Highlights such as this, for example. After some more conquests against Bahmanis, we eventually become the #1 producer of cotton in the world, which gives us our first achievement of this run, cotton candy. A little after that, my ally Bengal called us in a war against Jaunpur, who was very weak, and I saw an opportunity to backstab our ally. We accepted the call to arms, however we did not let Bengal siege a single province from Jaunpur, which allowed us to vassalize them for ourselves. This, of course, pissed off Bengal, and they broke their alliance with us. And this brings me to something else I wanted to point out. You see, down here in India, the AI usually tends to form these power blocks of maybe 3, 4 or 5 nations until they stabilize the region, and this means that they create alliance networks between them, which kind of discourages all of them to attack each other. Playing as a human player down here, we also have to deal with this, and in our case I think Bahmanis is allied with Delhi, and I think Malwa was also allied to one or the other. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that sometimes you might get stuck if this happens and you're not strong enough, and I really didn't have much faith in our army for some reason, but I think I should have been more confident considering how powerful our cavalry was. But in any event, I decided to try and ally Ming to take on Bengal, even though their armies are usually made out of paper. All I cared about was the sheer number of troops they had. Since it wasn't that difficult to get the alliance, I went for it, and we made short work of Bengal. I was now confident that I could take them on alone in the future as well. Later on, I noticed that Malwa had a breakdown with Bahmanis and Delhi, and they lost a war to those two. So I decided to jump on them myself and vassalize them, since they had a metric ton of cores everywhere. Same reason why we vassalized Jaunpur. After that, we just simply declare war, and declare war time and time again for the foreseeable future. This is another problem we face down here in India. The provinces are worth quite a bit, and it's a fairly large region of the map, which means that we have to fight big nations. The problem is that even if we get 100% war score out of every single war, we still can't get that much territory in that single war. We get a lot of development, sure, but that's not our goal, even though it's very welcomed. So then, we are basically trapped and forced to wait around until our truces are over so we can attack again. And that's a lot of waiting. I mean, yeah, you could time your truces better so you can go to war with Delhi first, then Bahmanis, then Bengal, and repeat, and so on, but I'm not that smart. And yeah, that's why we're so far into the future already and still don't own all of India. But hey, at least we can start colonizing now. We'll just get a colony here and there and basically jump over to North America, and hopefully we won't have to fight any colonial nations once we get there. A side effect of our constant wars one after the other is our ridiculously high aggressive expansion. We basically have to declare war on our neighbors immediately as the truce expires, so we don't give them time to join the coalition against us. But you know who else cares about our aggressive expansion besides our neighbors? That's right, the Ottomans. Yes, I know that Delhi and Bengal are both technically Sunni, but come on, do you really care that much about what's going on in India? Oh well, I guess we have to fight the Ottomans now, and all these other people too. You know what? This is actually not that bad. Remember, this is a punitive war, which means that the main way to obtain war score is to win battles. So, the more of these small stacks we can murder, the better for us. The Ottomans need some time to march their troops all the way over here, and for some reason they end up in China as well. Anyway, apparently our army isn't as useless as I thought it to be. We can kill the Ottomans quite easily, it seems, and very soon we reach about 50% war score against them, and we can get out of the war while demanding war reps as well. That's a pretty good trade deal if I ever heard one. With that excitement out of the way, it's back to business as usual. We continue with our daily routine of annexing the remaining Indian states, and at some point between that, we also get our colony in the Mexican region in North America. I was incredibly lucky to find this one still uncolonized province that was in the right area, and we didn't even have to fight anyone to get it. It would have been way too annoying to have to move troops over there. This crosses off our second achievement from the list. And before long, all that is left in India is Kandy. Sweet, sweet candy. Or it could be sour candy actually, I don't know, I never asked. This is glorious. But our work is not yet complete, because we still need to convert the last few provinces to the one true religion. They must all know about the Buddha, and not just any Buddha, but the Kandy Buddha, the enlightened one. He who realized that the only way to bring peace to India is to give it to them by force. And to keep that karma balanced, he gives out candy to everyone afterwards, of course. But enough about that. Our last province is finally converting, and just like that, our main objective is fulfilled, and there is our achievement. As a small bonus, we can now also form the nation of Bharat with a nice green map color. We could have probably done this sooner, but I didn't want to risk it interfering with our achievements in any way, although having these missions would have helped. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you again for the amazing reception on my last video. I'm not sure yet if the YouTube algorithm just blessed that one particular video and this one will do much worse, but I guess we shall see. It took me quite a while to record and edit this video. I had about 22 hours of footage to go through, so if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, it really means a lot to me. And also feel free to leave any feedback you might have or what else you would like to see on the channel. I'm thinking of trying to do some live commentary style videos as well, because I suspect they won't take as much time to edit, and that means more content for you guys. But I would like your opinion on that first. If you haven't seen my last video yet, a card will appear on screen in a few moments and you can check it out there. I would also like to say that my dream is to be able to do YouTube full time, so to that end, because I am not monetized yet on YouTube, I created a donation link and put it in the description below. I would like to emphasize though that I am by no means asking you to donate, it's not a requirement of course, only and only if you're inclined to do so. And yeah, with that being said, I appreciate you guys, and until the next video, have a good one.